All right, day 5. Feels like it's been a lifetime already, but day 5. Hope you've had an amazing day. We were at the beach most of the day. For those who don't know, I actually live in Mexico on the west coast, north of Puerto Vallarta, in a little town called Mezcales. But we went to a beach today with friends. So for me, recording a little bit later tonight, that's why I guess the colouring is probably going to be a bit weird. Late for me, but it's only really like 8:30 at night. I am a early to bed dude. I go to bed at like 9:30 and wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock. And the mornings is my time. So I'm going to do the best I can and pull through. For me, not for you. For me, it's for me. So you would have seen the title. The title for today was I Choose Failure Anytime. And obviously, always want to win. But the real gist of the message today is failure's okay, right? Failure is quite all right. However, we do not want it to happen again and again and again and again. And when we do fail, we want to learn from those failures so we don't repeat it again and again and again. Maybe you'll repeat it in, what's the word I'm looking for? In the process, you might fail within the whole process many times, but not failing in the same area of the process time and time and time again, right? So the whole idea of failure and choosing failure is that I want to have a growth mindset, right? People probably don't know this about me either, but I actually worked at a rehabilitation centre for, I think it was like over a year and a half. And it was everything and anything to do with the brain. So it was concussions, anxiety, depression, drugs, alcohol, every level of drug. But one of the things that we always worked on at this rehab, it was completely holistic, no medications, just good food, exercise, mindset, all that sort of stuff. But one of the things that we always worked on was thinking about the future and not worried about the past, right? Because the past we can't change. We can visit it and make sure that we don't go back to those areas in our life, but more importantly is focus on what you want in life, creating that growth mindset. And, failure, if I choose to, fail at something and therefore give up, throw in the towel, we call that the victim mentality, right? Like, oh man, I did my best, I can't do this again. Oh man, why does this always happen to me? Life's not fair, right? That's choosing to be the victim. And usually when you live in a victim mindset, you're going to give up. You're not just going to fail. You're going to fail and you're going to throw in the towel and absolutely give up and say, you know what, it's not worth it. I tried my best, and this is just not for me. And a lot of people just give up. Versus, failing and going, interesting. What was the learning in that? How can I look at what I've done, evaluate it, and maybe work out a way either that it doesn't happen again or a better way to move forward? Hence the terminology growth mindset. So it can be challenging, it can be hard to harness, but it's very doable. And one of the biggest things you have to recognize is when failure actually comes and how you are dealing with that situation. Because if you're somebody that's failed and, gone to the victim mindset for a long time, you got to remember, guys, I'm old. Like, I'm 44, right? So if you've done the victim thing for 44 years, it's hard to change, right? Your wiring is set for repeated performance, whether that's, whatever you do or mindset. you just catch yourself every now and again just falling back into those habits, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like driving a manual car. You don't think about it. Manual stick. Yeah, stick, I think they call it in the Americas. But, if you've been doing it for that long, you don't think about what you're doing. It just happens. And that can happen with that victim mentality, right? You just fall into it and you catch yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? A lot of people call, that victimhood or that victim mentality is like somebody that, when somebody tells them that they've done something wrong, they call that constructive criticism. Yeah, criticism. Criticism's like a negative, right? It's like automatically you're assuming that it's you've done something wrong, you've probably failed, and that can also set you up. So trying to move away from the idea that you are receiving constructive criticism and turning that into that learning opportunity again, that this is cool, somebody is showing me something that I wasn't aware of, they're giving me feedback, and from there I can either do one of two things. I can choose to listen and take their feedback and make the adjustments and pivot and change and move forward, or I can tell them to go get stuffed and jump off a bridge and just not listen to them at all, which is okay as well, right? It doesn't mean that when somebody gives you feedback, it's definitely the way forward, especially if they have no idea what they're actually telling you. They're just throwing in their 10 cents for the sake of throwing in their 10 cents. So once again, if you are used to that victimhood or that victim mentality, catch it. Talk yourself through the process, understand why it's happening and how you can move forward in a more positive manner, and then try again. And try and try and try again. I used to do this thing in the gym, not the gym, in the rehabilitation centre, where I drew sort of like a chart of one's life, right? And you usually start birth on the X and Y axis way down here, and then that you're trying to get to here, whether it's losing weight or building wealth or, I don't know, whatever it is. And a lot of people think that it's just a linear progression. Is that linear progression? It just goes straight up, right? It goes up on an angle and yay, we get there eventually. But life actually looks like this. We go up, we fall down. And if you're that victim, you'll stay in that fallen position, and then it sort of redlines and stays down in that victimhood, right? And you find it actually hard to get back in. Whereas someone with a growth mindset moves along and they grow and then they fail. And then they pick their lip up off the ground, they do the learning, they start growing, and guess what? It increases again and they get back on the right timeline and then they fail. And then they pick themselves up and they get back on that timeline and they fail. So it's almost like an ECG reading on an angle, right? Going uphill, but with all these little peaks and troughs along the way. And that's what learning is. Life is full of peaks and troughs, ups and downs. And then I guess that's where that old saying comes from as well, right? Like, it's a journey, man. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. Because the destination is somewhere up here. We never really know how we're going to get to that destination, right? Some people do go in a straight line towards their journey because they're very disciplined, they're very structured, organised, they learn really well. Some people probably go round and round and up and down and left and right and backwards and forwards and then finally get there. Some people probably go towards it and then backwards and then towards it and then backwards and 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards and 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. Life is a journey, man. It's totally different for all of us. But the important thing is to always take that opportunity to learn, to grow, and to continually move forward. And it's just a compounding effect of, learning, growing, taking more action. Learning, growing, taking more action. The action is what drives us to results. And, not all of us are going to make it to that final destination, right? Whether it's $1 million or, I don't know, getting ripped like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe we're never going to get it, right? But we're going to get as close as we can. And we need to be happy with that along the way as well, to get as close as we can in the journey, growing, learning, developing, all through taking action. It's time for my bed. I'm very tired. It's it's only 8:30 now. It's bedtime, but I hope you guys have a fabulous day. I'm sorry it's a late one, but go get some.